Hey guys, this is Rachel Feldman. I am so excited that we are talking tonight. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and I decided to combine a few tonight. So we're going to talk about ditching sugars. We're also going to talk about your sexy gut. I like to call this your sexy gut because if you do not have a healthy gut, you're not going to have a flat tummy. You are not going to have good poops. You're not going to have a good immune system. And I always say this and you're also not going to feel happy because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. 95% of your serotonin is manufactured in your gut. And also, the health of your liver depends on not having toxicity running through your body. And all of this intermakeup of your liver and balancing blood sugar all depends on good balance of good gut bacteria. The balance of blood sugar depends on your liver and your pancreas having a really good relationship. So I figured I would combine this all into one awesome webinar. And for me, God, I dealt with blood sugar imbalances my entire life. And although many people think I'm like uber healthy, I love sugar. I've been a sugar baby my entire life. So while other people love pizza and spaghetti and all of that, I loved, chocolate and donuts. And I still to this day love chocolate. If anyone knows me, I think I post about chocolate every day. But for me, I just loved like cakes and donuts and all of that stuff. And still to this day, I do. So if I don't figure out how to balance my life without feeling deprived and incorporate like really yummy, delicious foods into my life, then I will feel deprived and feel like I live on a diet. But also, it's that I had sugar imbalances. I had hypoglycemia as a little girl, and I would actually get so lightheaded that I would almost pass out. And then for years, as I like gave up sugar, I would literally feel like I wanted to kill somebody for like a cookie. And I couldn't figure out why was I eating so healthy and yet I felt constantly moody. I was like waking up at all times of the night. I was like bloated. My hormones were a hot mess. I always felt like I had these digestive issues. And it's blood sugar. So your blood sugar has to be balanced. And I remember working with a functional medicine doctor at this one time. And this person said to me, your blood sugar is out of balance. And I said, but I don't eat sugar. And the person turned and said, you don't have to be eating sugar for your blood sugar to not properly be balanced. So I want to talk to you about what happens when your blood sugar is out of balance, what happens when there's toxicity in the body, and how this really affects our mood, and how this also leads to toxicity in the body, because I have tons of clients, and I'm not even joking you, who eat quote unquote perfectly or eat the one banana and they can't lose weight, or eat berries and they can't lose weight because there's such metabolic insulin resistance, which one of my teachers, Mark Hyman, always talked about. Or they're not able to eat a cup of quinoa, which is a low glycemic grain. So if you're sitting there listening going, oh, yeah, that is me. Or if you're like myself, which grains just cause this histamine reaction. So the minute that you eat it, you feel this inflammation. So for me, my fingers get swollen, or since I actually had babies, I actually have like edema. So parts of either my face will swell up, and that's also a sign that there's some histamine reactions, or my foot will swell. And so for each one of us, inflammation shows up in different ways of our different ways. So I want to really show you tonight how blood sugar, toxicity, and how for each one of us, and even me as a health coach, it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Doesn't mean that that my autoimmune or that, I'm in this quote unquote perfect health. People always say, oh, wait, but I thought you were a health coach. I'm like, hey, I got bit by a Lyme tick. I got rid of my ulcerative colitis. But it doesn't mean that every day, I don't wake up and maybe don't have a histamine reaction to a food. This is exactly why I created this elimination program, because we change every day. We change with the seasons and our bodies change. I mean, I just turned 40, and the very foods that I was able to eat 6 months ago, I can't eat the moment that the summer comes or spring comes, or if my cortisol levels are a little higher, which means I'm not going to metabolize, the sugars in foods, or maybe I'm not going to metabolize, a certain food when my cortisol levels are really high. So before I go on any further, because yes, I could talk about this all the time. My name is Rachel Feldman. I am a health coach. I'm a detox specialist. I attended a school called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I attended that school because I did battle health issues. I always say, yes, I got, ulcerative colitis. I had an ulcer when I was 14. I did have a myriad of a bunch of different health issues that led me in and out of different, specialists and hospitals and allergy tests and all these different, blood tests and genetic tests and blah, 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 yada, yada. And hormone tests that even doctor said, you are not going to get pregnant. My hormones were a hot mess. And I do say I have an autoimmune. Some people say don't be defined by your disease, and I don't feel. But I also feel like I have to speak up and tell people that, I do have one, because for the longest time, I just felt alone. And my mom was actually down here the other day, and she said, I want to tell you, you look so great. And I said, Mom, 5 years ago, I didn't manufacture any hormones across the board. There was nothing. And today, I got blood tests done like 3 months ago, and they are totally normal. And not just normal, like defined by a doctor normal, like normal defined by me. I had everything, estrogen, estradiol, progesterone. They were normal across the board, which is a miracle, because what I'm going to talk about tonight is not just about sugars, but about what the power of healthy detoxification does. That's why I went to 4 different detox schools, because what detox does for you is bring you back into homeostasis. So that little girl, me, who had blood sugar imbalances her whole life, I didn't understand why I was like starving after meals. Well, it's that my blood sugar dropped so low after a meal that I was starving, or why I was starving at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, which was like adrenal issues. Why I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like drinking orange juice, coconut water. Later it turned into coconut water, but years ago it was orange juice. I couldn't figure out. I just thought something was wrong with me, or why, I was like crashing, eating candy bars. And, for me, I could eat it and I never gained weight. Couldn't figure out like why this hyper metabolism. So, I just always thought, okay, well, something's wrong with me. Well, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because for some people, you do gain weight. And I think that's, why I wanted to go to the different schools, because we're not just this one type of person. So I did go to school for Reiki energy, because I don't believe it's just about the food on your plate. I believe that we're these powerful beings with thoughts that guide us. If I take a pause, it's just because I'm drinking a green drink. There's powerful beings with thoughts. We have thoughts in our cells. I do love natural solutions. And I believe that, deep in our cells, we need to detoxify. And there are modalities, homeopathy, acupuncture, which I go weekly and have for many, many moons. And you also hear me talk about essential oils because I absolutely love them. I use them with my kids, my clients, myself, the hubby, my dog. You also hear me talk about natural makeup. For years I was like, I'm eating healthy, but I was putting crap onto my body. So if you can't pronounce, a word, whether it's on a label of the food that you're eating or the lotion that you're using or a product that you're putting onto your hair, there's no way that your liver can detoxify it. It becomes an endocrine disruptor. And that, my friend, is going to disrupt your liver. It's going to also not allow your hormones to balance as well as sugar. And if you're not breaking down the sugars, it's going to just turn into fat. And that's exactly the very thing that we don't want to have. So let's talk about ditching that sugar and that toxic load, because what happens is when we don't, sugar ages us. Not only does sugar age us, but it leads to inflammation, and then we can't lose weight. So sugar is a toxin. Too much glucose in the body leads not only to digestive issues, but blood sugar imbalances. So for some people, that glucose comes right in to our body. We break it down and it's turned into energy. But for a lot of people, it is stored right as fat. And for most of us, that fat turns into cellulite, and that cellulite is actually toxins stored in fat. So we want to make sure is that we don't have those toxins stored into fat, because those toxins in our body wreak havoc not only on our endocrine system, as I said, but on every different organ. Because as our liver is trying to excrete all of those, toxins out of our body, our kidneys, if you get a lot of lower back pain, is trying to get, all of that junk out of our bodies as well, of your urinary tract system. So if you start to get a lot of candida, yeast issues, if you have a lot of urinary tract issues, UTIs, then you know that kidney and that bladder is really having a difficult time getting, bacteria out of your body as well. So as I said, I have a lot of clients that think that they're eating the perfect meal plan, and that single banana is keeping on weight. And if that is you, then all of a sudden what happens? We have weight gain, food allergies, belly bloat, low stamina, mood swings, edema, which is what I said for myself, poor sleep, hormone imbalance, and we feel like crap. So if you have any of these and you have fatigue, what ends up happening when we have too much sugar just floating around our body, we're prone to candida. All of a sudden, we have that inflammation in our joints, itchy skin, which is excess sugar floating around, which for a lot of us is, candida, psoriasis, cravings, sleep issues, even parasites, candida pathogens, loose stools, constipation. I mean, all of these are signs of just this excess sugar. And, for a lot of us, if we saw the movie Fed Up, and if you didn't, it's a very powerful movie, because when we look at the amount of diabetes and, disease that is being affected in our current state of the world, it's really sad how much hidden sugars are in all of our food. We think we're eating these fat-free foods, but there's really these hidden sugars, all of these, sucrose, or even the fact that, we have all of this NutraSweet, and that is still sending us on the sugar roller coaster. So, this is what's actually really scary. In 2009, more than 50% of Americans consume 1/2 pound of sugar. So if you think about how much sugar you're consuming each day, most of my clients, and most of the people who can't lose weight these days, we are actually so eating so much sugar that if you just think about it, it's not just sugar, that actual white sugar that you're thinking about. We're consuming so much carbohydrates. That's why you're actually seeing the paleo diet. It's not that paleo diet is this fad diet. It's that you're actually going back to caveman type eating. So when I tell people, eliminate carbohydrates, it's not just carbs in the sense of, whole wheat. It's actually saying to people, taking your body and saying, okay, low glycemic foods, so that we actually start, not depriving the body, but taking the body so that you're taking these sugars away, so that you're going back almost to a caveman type of eating, because there's so much sugar that actually occurs just even in fruit. So when you're depriving the body of actually, the sugars that we so often eat, then the body has to actually start using its own fuel. And the liver has to actually go into a state where it starts burning the very fuel within the body. And then you're actually not sitting there in that excess sugar mode. So does everyone kind of understand this? So for a lot of people, when we're eating this excess sugar, the problem is that not only is this acid state, so when we're eating like excess, and it's not even like donuts, because I think a lot of people these days are eating really healthy foods, but when we're eating sugar, and even for a lot of people, that could even be honey. So, that could even be just, even though fruit is alkaline, that could actually be, a sugar. And I'm even thinking of just like brown sugar, and say that's like even of a healthier sugar. Say this is creating an acidic state in your body. It's actually robbing the body of minerals and enzymes. So when you do that, the body creates an acidic state, and that is when you start to have dry hair, dry skin. That's actually when you start to see constipation. You actually start to see swelling in the body, bloating, loose stools, because when there's such depletion of minerals, you actually have loose stools, and actually loose stools that are explosive. So yes, somebody asked, can agave raise blood sugars? Agave, there's so much mixed information and out there on agave. These days, unless you're really buying like pure raw agave, which, would actually be like blue raw agave, you will actually have a spike in blood sugar. And unless you're buying like raw stevia, it's very hard to find things that are not going to raise blood sugar. And, even if you look at like sweet potatoes, even in the paleo diet, I mean, that's a higher glycemic grain. So when I work with people and I take them through a detoxification program, I actually have them food diary everything that they're eating, everything, because I want to see, did mood change? Was there, a swelling in the fingers? Was there swelling in the feet? Was there any shift that we're looking for from emotions, body temperature, so that you can actually see, how did this affect you? Because it's not just the sugar and fruit. I mean, we have low glycemic fruit, such as a green apple. So a green apple compared to a red apple, is going to be different. So low glycemic fruits would be grapefruit, berries, but you have some people who can't even tolerate that. I have some clients who had such metabolic insulin resistance that I actually had to take away fruit. And this is where we really get into understanding how our unique body thrives. Because when we start to look at our face and start to see where there is excess or deficiency, this is when we really start to understand how is sugar and toxins affecting our body. So right now, in the time of the liver and the gallbladder, so many people are having blood sugar imbalances because the liver and the gallbladder, if right now you're experiencing neck pain, poor sleep, you're waking up between the hours of 1 to 3. If you're seeing right now wrinkles here, wrinkles right here, if you're actually seeing dryness right around the lips, breaking out here, even dryness here, this is signs that the liver is weak. And especially if you're seeing bags right here the other day, when I ate something, I had a little rash right here. Under the eyes is where you're going to have the kidneys. This is a sign that the kidneys are being weakened. And in the time that the liver and the gallbladder are working really hard, the gallbladder meridian is right here. This is when you know that the liver and the gallbladder are toxic. And so this is especially the time that you're going to see blood sugar imbalance. So for me, when somebody detoxes and cleanses with me, I make sure that we're really looking at the power of food and the energetics of food. There are some people that thrive on all fruits. And so they have a very easy time breaking down the sugars. They might also, by constitution, be somebody that doesn't have very high cortisol levels. There are some people that thrive on grains. They may not have high cortisol levels again. If you are having high cortisol levels, if you're one of those people that stress a lot, you're not going to often, we might not make a blanket statement, break down sugars as well, because your cortisol levels will be lower. And so maybe for you, a piece of Ezekiel bread, brown rice, beans, soaked beans, you're going to have an easier time. You may not have as many histamine reactions, toxins in your body. We still all need to cleanse with each season. Some of us even each month with the, the moon that comes. Often when the moon comes, we all find that we get a little more stagnant. And stagnant means that you feel tightness around that middle area or in the right, part of your body, under your rib section, which is, the liver. But with the power of food, we want to make sure that we're detoxifying our body, because if you think about it, no matter who you are in this world, you want to be releasing those pesticides, the herbicides, the chemicals that are just in the air that we breathe, because there is so much toxins in the air that we breathe, in the water that we bathe in, the PCBs. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of plastics that are just in the water that we're bathing in. Even the organic fruits. Think about just even the chemicals that are sprayed in our air that drip down even into the organic fruits. So make sure that you're eating, especially, with the dirty dozen list. So when you think about balancing your blood sugar, you want to think, is my liver toxic? So foods to avoid and reduce to make sure that you're balancing those blood sugar, caffeine, of course, sugar. So, and sugar for you, remember, all of those forms of sugar, especially the ones that end in OSE. And for some of you, that might be that you have to reduce agave or take away coconut, sugar. And this is, of course, going to be one that's, a better sugar. Blackstrap molasses is a better sugar. Stevia is one that, most diabetics or people like myself who struggle with candida, it's fine. But for some people who really need to avoid, even stevia for some people will raise their blood sugar. Xylitol, for some people, those sugar alcohols, they really need to omit because it's just enough to trick their body. And this is where you really need to make sure, are you that person that can't even have a beet because it just raises your blood sugar? And again, this goes back to the liver. So is it really the sugars, or is it that you really need to get your liver? Because I've had diabetics go through a liver detoxification program, not a liver detox, have gone through an elimination diet, have done a juice cleanse, have really cleaned out the trash can, meaning the liver, the lymphatic system, and all of a sudden sugars have balanced. So we don't ever just chase after the disease or the health issue. People always say, how did you get rid of your ulcerative colitis? I say, I cleaned out the trash can, the lymphatic system. I didn't go and say, how do I get rid of my ulcerative colitis? Because just eliminating caffeine and all these different foods, that didn't work. I had to clean out the trash can and support my gut, reinoculate, repair, remove. That's what I needed to do. So of course, you want to make sure you're not eating nitrates, preservatives, fried food, cheese, which is just mold, dairy that is not cultured. These are foods that add mucus to the body. Get alkaline. This is one thing that I always talk about in the cleanses that I'm doing. And actually, we're starting one on the 16th. I'm, so excited. And we do this. I do this the whole season. So the one that you see at rachelswellness.com is one that we do all season. But we officially start on the 16th. And one thing that I talk about is to really teach people and educate and empower them on how to really learn how to do this and how to balance not only yourself, your body, but the people you love in your life. How even really acid foods like the cashew that I ate tonight, which is an acid food, is also a really healthy food. So even though I soaked it, that's still an acid food. How do I balance that so that I'm digesting it properly? So that it doesn't create mucus in my body. So get alkaline with greens and smoothies. And how do you make those acid foods so that they don't create mucus in the body and create a situation that really inflames the gut and then, creates that bloat, which none of us want. And then once that bloat happens, for a lot of people, we start craving salt, sugar, salt, sugar. So the other thing about, really getting rid of the sugar is to have those healthy fats. So often people who are craving sugar like myself, we're so deficient in those omegas. So if you're craving sugar, fight sugar with having good protein, good clean sources of protein, and healthy fats. For me, I was so deficient in fats, so I make sure in all of the programs that I write, the programs I take people through, teaching them that good balance of fat. Coconut oil is one of my favorite, grapeseed oil. Of course, not cooking with olive oil, but making sure that if I do, it's with a low heat. Stevia is my preferred. Nutrient dense, yummy detox foods, of course, making sure that raw cacao, good amounts of magnesium, of course. Sugar, craving sugar always happens when magnesium is deficient. Lemon and lime, and of course, our low glycemic grapefruit, low glycemic fruits. So superfoods are really amazing also for combating sugar cravings. Bee pollen is a phenomenal one because it's also those amino acids. So when I, do a cleanse with people or an elimination diet, or I'm working with people one-on-one, I make sure that we're looking at amino acids. If amino acids are low, and a lot of people with digestion issues have assimilation issues. So, people say to me, I don't have digestion issues. And I'll say, do you have acid reflux? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's a digestion issue. Or they'll say, I don't have digestion issues. And I'll say, but do you need to lose weight? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so most people in the world have digestion issues, whether it's, IBS, loose stools, bloating. Those are digestion issues. We just don't say that it's a digestion issue. So whether it's an autoimmune, I like to really look at superfoods, and it doesn't mean that you have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars. Really look at which ones are important to have. Save up, look at Vitacost. In the forum when I do the detox, I make sure that we all look for really great deals, so that you can buy, bee pollen, raw cacao, sea vegetables. They don't have to taste gross. You can get the shaker ones. So they taste pretty good. And yes, I would say somebody's asking if all nuts have mold. Peanuts especially do have mold. So I make sure if there's mold intolerances, definitely do not eat peanuts. Valencia are supposed to be the only peanuts that do not have mold because they're grown in a certain way. But it is the storing. It's the fact that nuts, unless you're buying them from a place that goes through them so fast, which most of the time you don't, they're just not stored properly, so mold grows on them. You want to actually, one, store them always in the freezer, but two, soaking them and then storing them in the freezer is a great way to prevent mold. So a lot of people have reactions. Food intolerance and allergies will also present themselves with having sugar cravings a lot. So if you're having that constant sugar cravings, look to see if there's food intolerances, that insulin resistance, toxins in the body. Sugar cravings will mask themselves in so many different ways. I found that also gut imbalances, and we're going to talk about probiotics, because, for so many of the clients that I've worked with, as well as myself, toxins were a huge factor, as well as, just the liver. The liver has 500 different metabolic, responsibilities in the body. And if the liver cannot do its job, especially having that good relationship with the pancreas, the blood sugar is not going to be imbalanced. You're going to feel that constant roller coaster that you're on. Some people, like I said, can go have a bowl of oatmeal, gluten-free oatmeal, and feel great. But if you're that person who eats and even eats a well-balanced meal, let's even just say 4 to 5 ounces of protein and vegetables, and has a good fat, like 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of a good healthy fat, and you're starving right after, there is some imbalance, and you probably need to 100%, detoxify the liver and start to flush the lymphatic system, because, or that there's an imbalance in the gut. And so you're having that constant sugar craving because the sugar monsters inside, the bacteria, are screaming to be fed. So toxins stored in the liver create that body fat. And for a lot of people, we see that as cellulite. So a gentle and self-effective detox, cleanse, whatever you want to call it, clean eating program, there's so many fancy names, reset, whatever you want to call it, is going to help to cleanse that lymphatic system, hydrate the body, hydrate the cells, repair the body, regenerate. I mean, I think, when the detoxification pathways are not open, all of a sudden we start to get acne. We start to not even be able to sweat. I know that sounds crazy, but that is the first sign that the adrenals and the thyroid are not functioning. We're not hydrated. We get really moody. We wake up throughout the night. We don't have a good sex drive. We can't lose weight. We actually start to gain weight, and especially around the middle section. Blood pressure rises, or we have very low blood pressure, or we have very low body temperature, 97. There are a lot of different things that can happen. Our tongues can peel. You see ridges on your tongue, or you see your tongue very pale. Varicose veins. Lots of different things can happen in our body because it likes to be a well-oiled machine. So changing your life in 14 days, this is a jump start. What I like to do is teach people, empower you on things you can do for the rest of your life, things you can do for yourself, things you can teach your children, things you can teach the people that you love, things that are ancient. Castor oil packs, oil pulling, food combining. So you learn how I have combated my own autoimmune, how I have, combated my own sugar imbalances, blood sugar imbalances, and a heavy toxic load. I had mercury poisoning, candida, all of those fun things. Also what I have done to balance my own gut health. I think this is such a topic that is, so, how do I say it? Just, so confusing for so many people. You walk into a store and you see, hundreds of different probiotics. You see, cereal boxes that say promote gut health. So when you do a program with me, I not only every day share with you, what different probiotics I think are great, my favorite ones, but also recipes on how to make probiotic rich foods. If you don't want to, make them, which probiotic rich foods you can go buy, and how they actually can work in your life to actually eliminate toxins. So when you consume probiotic rich foods, they actually sweep your intestinal lining. So for especially people like myself that had ulcerative colitis, when you're dealing with different gut issues, these are vital in eliminating toxins and also in repairing that gut, the intestinal lining that end up having holes. So when you see these histamine reactions, it's because there is a leaky gut situation. So it's very important to actually know, and it's not this like one size fits all, which is, I think, why it's so confusing. People say to me, how did you end up, figuring out what to do? And I'm like, well, I read about, $500 and figured out what to do and help my clients to figure out what to do, because there isn't this one size fits all. So what I do, if you actually want to come and join me, is that I help you to figure out how to lose weight. I help you to figure out exactly what to do to get rid of cellulite, how to repair your gut, how to restore that core, because there wasn't this one size fit all for me. So when we embark on this journey for 90 days, if you want to sign up, you can sign up here. All you'd have to do is go to my site at www.rachelswellness.com. You sign up, you get your materials delivered. We have a kickoff call. We have a wrap-up call. I will tell you, the different probiotics I take. This is all stuff that has just worked for me. You get information about essential oils. You get information about doing a juice cleanse. You get information about the different things that I do. You have the opportunity to ask me different questions. about how to lose weight, about how to also make this program unique for you, because there are certain people that can't even eat salads, especially if you've had digestive issues. I think there are a lot of people who think, well, I'm just going to jump in and do a raw food cleanse. This is not all raw foods. There are certain people that really need to eat more warming foods because that's what works for their digestion. There's certain people that need to eat more smoothies, more pureed foods, have more juices, have a combination. And that's what I have found that works. This is based on the elimination diet, because what I said earlier, there are certain of you that are listening to this or will listen to this that say, you know what? I really thrive when I eat carbohydrates, and I really thrive when I have vegetables with that. I really thrive when I have more protein. Or you may not know at all what works for you. And that is the beauty of really taking a vacation. The other part that we don't ever talk about is what is not serving us. We never have an opportunity to talk about those self-sabotaging ways that we actually don't take care of ourselves. So what I do is I don't just talk about the weight loss. I talk about what do we need to let go of that is hampering our emotional sanity and taking away from our life. So when you sign up from now until the 16th, not only do I send you Wild Orange, an essential oil that is about release and also helping the lymphatic system, but I'm going to give you all this program. You're going to be able to sign up, have fun kicking off. We're in the form already talking about our intentions, writing them on the mirror with lipstick, everything. And if you're a guy, you're going to be grabbing your wife's lipstick. But we also have the next 90 days to be together. So if you don't join us and you just take from this tonight and think about how you want to look at food differently, how you want to look at your life differently, how you want to take the spring and think about, is there a connection between how you are putting food into your body and how food is affecting your blood sugar, how the toxins in your liver is affecting your blood sugar, and how your blood sugar is affecting every aspect of your hormones, your health, your vitality, and your energy. Then think about that tonight, because the very thing that we all want to do is have more energy so we can fully live the life that we deserve. So I hope you have an amazing night. It's a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much. Again, I hope you enjoy, and I will talk to you soon. So this was Rachel Feldman, and have a rad one. I will talk to you, and drink a green juice, eat some really good fat. It is the one thing that will combat your sugar cravings. Make sure that you're not waking up at 1 to 3. And if you are, you best join me for an amazing spring detox cleanse. Reset that body, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.